3 Republicans running in the primary for state treasurer: Andrew Cooperrider, Mark Metcalf, and O.J. Oleka. This question from Christian County: what are the candidates' thoughts on the Kentucky lottery as it includes funding for education, yet local boards are increasing taxes, consolidating schools, and limiting public say in the educational process while instituting controversial policies like DEI? And I'll go to, I don't know who I've started with first, so we'll start with you, Mr. Oleka.
Sure. Well, again, I think it is important that we fund education across the board. I'm one of those who believes that every parent should have an opportunity to be involved in what their kids are learning, and that the dollar should follow the students. To the point about what local schools and school districts are able to do, again, this is where experience matters in this office. We've talked a lot about cutting, making sure that the treasurer has a role in how money is spent. One of the ways that I would make sure I could do this is by working with local governments to pool resources. Ohio has already done this, so you can pool different county governments, municipal governments. You can pool their resources together, invest them together, so you get a better return. And basically, counties have more cash flow to be able to make better decisions. Then counties can put that money towards education. They can put that money towards law enforcement. They can put it towards economic development. But as a result, counties are able to improve the outcomes for their communities based on services. They could also just give that money back to the people to spur economic development that way. So I think that's one of the most important things that you can do. The lottery should make sure that it funds education properly. I want to be a treasurer that works with our county governments within the purviews of the job to make sure that they can have the opportunities for their people to thrive and succeed.
Mr. Metcalf, your view on that, sir?
Well, as to whether gambling is a good thing, gambling always punishes the most poor among us. And those are the people who tend to participate in lottery tickets, and now I would suspect also participate in the sports book that has been approved. It's been approved. It will be up to me to enforce the law. As far as the Gaming Commission is concerned, or I think the Gaming Commission, the Lottery Commission. And what I intend to do is this. We are going to target monies for education that will avoid critical race theory and DEI. We are going to teach we are going to fund the basics. That's how we get good students, and that's how we get good outcomes. You know, I prosecute matters in which children come to school, and they're hungry, they're scared, and they've been traumatized at home. The whole idea behind a family is that mom and dad raise their children. I deal with the fact that the dysfunction affects these children every day. So I intend to make certain that the schools have what they need to bring these children up to date with their peers, and so that they have the same opportunities to learn as any other child that comes from a more affluent home or a home in where mom and dad are together. So the idea that gambling proceeds are being used to educate, that's a fact in Kentucky.
Whether or not you disagree with it or not, it's still happening.
Whether I agree with it or not, I don't like the idea of funding things through gambling, because I believe it, again, it preys upon the poorest among us. But since it's here, we are going to be using those monies and target them towards these children and these school systems where kids have not had the best opportunities. And that includes where I see them in what's called DNA court. That's dependency, neglect, and abuse. And these children come from backgrounds that I think most of us would be glad we didn't come from. And so these children are the least among us. We need to bring them up with their peer groups.
Mr. Cooperrider.
So on the lottery, there's 2 big issues I see with it right now. The first issue is let's take a look at last year. Revenues into the lottery went up by 5.7%, but cash contributions back to the state only went up by 1.7% over the last year. That's a 4 percentage point difference. You'd like to see those percentages move in tandem. That would make the most sense, of course, but that didn't happen. And that 4% equals over $14 million that is unaccounted for, that went into inflated overhead and extra expenses that the lottery added on. And we got to be asking questions about the company operating our lottery and see why is our revenues and our contributions to our state not matching. That's a big problem. Here's the second thing. As of 2 years ago, Kentucky became one of only 7 states in the nation that allows individuals to purchase lottery tickets on a credit card. That's a big problem to me. I don't care how you feel about gambling, but you know the state treasurer's office is tasked with financial literacy. It is the opposite of financial literacy to buy a lottery ticket on a credit card. If you find yourself in a position where you are doing that, you are doing the wrong thing. We are turning Capital One into a loan shark, and it's wrong.
But
That
you
being
also
stated-
believe in smaller government and people being able to make choices for their own personal lives, right, Mr. Cooper Ryder?
Well, absolutely. But right now we're talking about a lottery that's being operated by the government. And so we absolutely have oversight over what the government's doing. And as I said, encouraging people to purchase lottery tickets on a credit card to then turn around and give more money to the government, that's the opposite of small government. That's the opposite of it. Now, going to your question about educational funding, as I said in my last answer, if somebody's receiving $1 from the state, then we do have a right to have oversight over that. Now, the individual was from Christian County, right?
Yes,
I believe they're having issues with consolidating high schools in that county, if I'm not mistaken. And that's causing a lot of issues. It's creating farther bus rides and some other things. This is where educational choice has got to come in to play. Money following the student, where on a free market, we're able to reward good school behaviors and punish bad school behaviors.
So you believe that taxpayer public money should go to private for-profit companies to run charter schools. You support that and other expansions of school choice?
Absolutely. I mean, right now, what we see going on in our schools is not working. Kids cannot read. They can't do math. They're getting worse and worse every year. They're more depressed every year. We have the saddest generation of children in our nation's history. It's not working. I'll give you a great example. Here in Lexington, LCA provides a high-quality education, but only charges around $13,000 a year.
This is Lexington Catholic?
Lexington Christian.
Lexington Christian, excuse me.
Sorry, Lexington Christian Academy. Only charges around $13,000 a student, but Lexington schools are spending over $17,500 a student. Now, you could say it's a for-profit entity, but apparently they're able to educate our kids for significantly less and provide higher quality education. I think that is a conversation we need to be having.
So we can talk about that more in a little bit, but this question to Mr. Oleka, and I'm reading this verbatim. If OJ worked for Allison Ball, why is it not time for change in Kentucky's treasurer's office? What is the return on investment for continuing a former administration? Your response?
My response is that Treasurer Ball has been the best treasurer that we've had in Kentucky's history. Again, I had the opportunity to work for her. While I was there, we protected Kentucky taxpayer dollars against waste and fraud and abuse. We improved transparency. We were bottom in the country, and now we're top 10. We also made sure to improve financial literacy so every high school kid has a clear opportunity to succeed. This is success. When we talk about good Republican leadership, this is the thing that we've been missing for generations in Kentucky. We've got an opportunity now, if I am the nominee and I become our next state treasurer, to continue that great work that we've done. I think that's incredibly important. And on this issue of education, this is where experience is going to matter even more. Because when I was in the treasurer's office, we passed a 529 bill so that parents could use those dollars. This is an account that's their own money. They can use it in a private education fund. When I ran the Association for Independent Kentucky Colleges and Universities, we pushed to make sure that parents would be able to have the opportunity with their students to use other college tuition grants to be able to go to private schools and expand those dollars. If you're talking about a leader in school choice, you want a leader who can actually make sure that dollars follow students in a way that provides a good quality education. I am the candidate that can do that. I've got the background, again, having worked in the treasurer's office, having run a higher education association, having a doctorate in education. These are just skills that I've got. And so when we're looking for leaders, and again, I think it's important to point out, just talking about what the legislature should do, changing statutes, changing the lottery, that's not what the treasurer does. Republicans need a nominee who understand the office that they're running for, who recognize that this is not a legislative position, this is not an appropriator, this is not someone who makes law, they implement the law. And the last thing that we need is somebody who doesn't know the office, trying to talk about what the legislature can do and not what the treasurer does. If Republicans want somebody who's experienced, who's conservative, who can lead on the issues all across the board, I'm the one candidate who can get that job done.
Mr. Metcalf.
I favor the use of tax funds to support, through school vouchers, private education. It's been upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court, and I'm certain that we can apply those funds very well locally in our private schools to do the very same thing that we're talking about, which is improving the outcomes of our students and providing competition with our public schools. I think our public schools get better when there's competition. Most businesses do. And since schools are competing for dollars, I believe that what we ought to be doing is allowing these private institutions to have the same dollars that are available through school vouchers and that have been upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court.